So what do you think about today's D3 racing? I mean, we came back. What was the big change? Quality is the same for everyone, more or less.
Oh yeah, I think D3.
What brought you back into D3?
Oh, just to be able to see my friends, and then that's how I met Phil. If it hadn't been for D3 racing, I wouldn't have met Phil, and renewed my friendship with Brian and Tori, and we knew each other as racers, but not as friends back in the day, and that's how Phil met. Phil was racing with Duran, and Duran was a kid.
Yeah, see, I met Duran when he was about 10 years old. We were racing, we'd get like 45 guys racing NASCARs on a middle of the week, Wednesday or something like that, and a huge turnout. And Duran was probably 10 years old. And people think Duran doesn't speak much now. He never spoke a word back then. Nothing. I mean, you could not get a word out of Duran. But I knew he was a great racer. Back then, I mean, it's like, wow, this kid's 10 years old. He is great.
Duran, Phil, and Bill Vanderzeel, they were closing down tracks. I mean, they were beating every local, everywhere, running NASCARs and everything.
Well, I think that for me, what happened was I was racing the flexi cars, and the flexi cars, of course, you don't have to build the chassis, but we had Bill Vanderzeel. We just call him Bill V, but he was building motors, and then we had Gil Rivera. Gil Rivera was painting beautiful bodies, and Duran was starting to mess with motors a little bit, and so we were all kind of trying to contribute a little bit on different things, and it worked out really well, and it was a lot of fun. But it sort of started dying out gradually. We went from 4-inch NASCARs to like 4.5-inch NAS trucks and NASCARs and all these different flexi cars, and when it kind of died out here, then there wasn't really a whole lot of scale racing going on, and so when D3 started, I came back here. Brian, I went over to Brian's, and Brian gave me a car and said, "Hey, do you want to race this on Saturday or Sunday?" I can't remember. And I said, "Well, sure, I'll give it a try." And I hadn't raced for quite a while, and came here and raced, and it was a whole new group of people, and it turned out to be all the people that were, like Mill knew from back in the '60s, so, that was cool.
When Philippe approached me, one of the reasons that they accepted me is I had an incredible collection of Terry Schmidt chassis, originals. I had 5 of them, which the museum didn't have any. And back in the day, Terry used to make custom leather belts and leather purses and everything like that. I used to go down to Terry's shop. He used to make keep-on trucking belts and psychedelic belts with flowers and everything like that, and flower power and everything. And that's the way Terry kind of made a little extra money on the side at the time. And I had all these chassis, and Philippe was like, wait a minute. He goes, what will you do? If you'll donate these to the museum, I'll get you a D3 car. And I said, well, okay, for a D3 car, heck, then I can go race with my friends again. That's why I took it up. It's looking back now, I should never have donated those chassis, Philippe. You robbed me blind.
I just
Always
think that
keep your hand on your wallet when Philippe's around.
The fact that Paul Sterrett and Philippe and Dennis Sampson and Mike Stubbe, of course, started the D3.
Yeah. You
and
can't say good enough things about them.
And look where it's gone.
Mike Stubbe created the jail door class. I mean, Paul Sterrett has kept everything going. Dennis Sampson and Philippe. I mean, these guys have really done a job to keep slot racing alive. And without that, there would be no slot racing. there isn't slot racing within 90, 100 miles basically of Buena Park, and it's all because of the strength of D3.
I was talking to Paul Sterrett last night and said, you know, Paul, if you would have mentioned to me what your idea was originally of what you and Mike and Dennis and Philippe came up with to actually build brass chassis and start racing all this stuff that we were racing in the 60s, that for me basically kind of was the end of slot car racing, when a lot of my friends said, hey, you know what, I can't go and buy like a Cox car or a Revell car and race it because it's not competitive.
Yeah.
So if they would have told me that, I say, you know what, I don't think it'll work, because to me that was one of the things that made it like, okay, now it's getting very challenging, because you can't just buy a car out of the counter, put some better tires on it, and just a couple little things and race it and be competitive. Now you have to build a chassis, you have to have everything aligned, and it's a little engineering project. So if they had mentioned that to me, I would have said, you know what, I don't think that's gonna take off.
Well, I got to go because I got to go prepare for the next race.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Both of you.
Yep.
Really. And I'm very happy to have both of you.